I think the two sides must split. As I told you, one is a militant wing, the other one is a political wing. They operate under two very, very different assumptions.
Mwananchi, how are you doing? I hope you're doing very fine. I'm also very okay. Now, just a few days ago, Citizen TV had a small interview, a 38 minutes interview with Raila's lawyer, that is the late Raila Odinga's lawyer, Paul Mwangi. And he revealed something that many of us looking from the outside didn't know, and this revelation brings a whole new perspective about this split in ODM. So he said that Raila had two groups of can I say mercenaries. He had the political stroke diplomatic side, and he had the militant side, and he applied all of them accordingly and according to every situation. Here is what he said.
For your time. In an interview with Citizen TV, the late O.D.M party leader Raila Odinga's lawyer Paul Mwangi and the former premier spokesperson Dennis Onyango revealed how the late Raila Odinga kept two cards, a militant and a diplomatic one, during his illustrious decades in politics. Mwangi disclosing that the militant team in the camp, led by ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, was in fact Odinga's fallback plan should he have run into headwinds with a broad-based political arrangement with President William Ruto.
Raila will not go into anything without an exit strategy. So even when he began working with President Ruto, he had an exit strategy.
What was the exit strategy?
The exit strategy was the people who were fighting it.
Sifuna side.
Yes, that was his exit strategy. He needed his exit strategy alive and strong before he goes for negotiation, because that's the only way he can. And I think he was going for 50% of the government then.
50%.
Yes, I think that's what it was. But he needed to be very strong. I think the problem that we have today is that he passed away before he called people to order. Because when we went and finally did a handshake, the militant side never really joined us. Because the thinking of the two sides are totally different. I think the two sides must split. As I told you, one is a militant wing, the other one is a political wing. They operate under two very, very different assumptions. They were all operating under two very different job descriptions. They will never agree.
Kama kawaida, lazima tuanze na story. Now listen, there was a shopkeeper in town who was very smart. During the day, he ran a clean, organized supermarket. Receipts, shelves, everything proper. But at night, the same shop had a back door. From there, biashara ilikuwa tofauti kidogo. Hustle ilikuwa raw, no receipts, no rules, just survival. Now, here's the thing. Both businesses belong to the same owner. Different styles, different language, same brain. And whenever the main shop slowed down, the backdoor business would keep the money flowing. Ladies and gentlemen, that is exactly what the late Raila Odinga's politics might have been all along. Now, enters Paul Mwangi. For a long time, people thought ODM drama was just succession chaos, ego fights, after Baba everything imeenda mrama. But then, Paul Mwangi, a man who has been inside ODM's legal and political orbit for years, and ODM here I mean Raila, he said something that completely flipped the script. He described ODM as having a political diplomatic faction and a militant faction, and said Raila himself was multifaceted, with both negotiation and pressure as tools. That is not gossip. That is insider decoding the system. Let's be very clear. Facts from Mwangi's framing is that Raila had multiple political approaches. He always had an exit strategy. The Sifuna aligned camp fits into that fallback lane. What Mwangi did not explicitly prove is that there is a secret command center controlling protest, or that every action that by Sifuna's camp is centrally coordinated. But politically, the implication is loud. So, the big shift is that O.D.M is not breaking, it is revealing itself. Because if Mwangi is right, then O.D.M is not splitting, O.D.M is unfolding. What we are seeing is not rebellion, it is a hidden wing stepping into daylight. Suddenly, Sifuna makes sense. Look at Edwin Sifuna again. Before, people saw a loud SG, a defiant voice, a political troublemaker. But through Mwangi's lens, Sifuna becomes continuity of pressure politics, the backup engine, and the if negotiations fail, we go this way guy. Basically, not noise. It is an insurance policy. And now look at the team around him. We have Babu Win, who is has street energy and raw mobilization. James Orengo, legal mind plus resistance history. Kaliba messaging and digital file. Geoffrey Sosi, institutional experience. This is not a random group. This is a balanced political unit. One that can speak to the streets, speak to institutions, and challenge power directly. Let's now look at the ground reality check. Recent events support one thing clearly. This faction has real traction. For example, in the Mwananchi rallies like the one in Mombasa at Tononoka grounds drew significant crowds. Their messaging has remained consistent and coordinated. They have refused to align with the broad-based government narrative. That doesn't prove a hidden structure, but it proves one thing. They are not weak. Let's look at the deep political insight here. Here's the part nobody's talking about. If O.D.M always had a negotiation wing and a pressure wing, then Raila never fully lost power, even when he lost, because when he sat at the table, he influenced government. When he went to the streets, he influenced the people. That is a dual control of politics. And now, that system might be running without him. Let's say it as it is. O.D.M supporters thought they were following one leader, one direction, but in reality, they were following a two-engine political machine, one smiling, one shouting, one hand shaking hands, another one raising fists. This is where it gets deep, because what Kenyans are witnessing is not just politics, it is the fragmentation of a legacy. O.D.M was not just a party, it was a movement, a belief system, a resistance identity. Now people are being forced to choose which Raila do you believe in. If Mwangi's framing is correct, then this is not a temporary fight. This is a permanent ideological split, because you cannot permanently merge compromise politics and confrontation politics. One always wins, or they separate. Paul Mwangi may not have shouted, he may not have accused, but what he did was open a door. We saw something powerful. O.D.M was never one thing, and now that both sides are visible, Kenya must decide which version of Raila survives. If you enjoyed this deep, unfiltered, no-nonsense political breakdowns like this, subscribe to HiiStory, because here we don't just follow politics, we decode the system behind the statements. Bye.